The Klyntar race is a dynamic and powerful parasitic race. Because of its parasitic nature, symbiotes have the ability to jump around to different hosts if they so choose, if they haven't been permanently bonded to them, that is. Depending on where in the lineage of a symbiote family that particular symbiote falls, they can be incredibly powerful, or pale in comparison to their offspring, which has made for a really interesting dynamic between our favorite Klyntar Venom and a few of the others in his race over the past few years in the comics. So today we're back at it again with our list of the top 10 strongest symbiotes, part 2. In our previous list we looked at the symbiotes from Earth 616 and ranked them in terms of our picks from the top 10 strongest. This time around we'll be looking at some alternate versions of the Venom symbiote from a bunch of different Earths, as well as characters featured in the Venomverse. And before we begin, just want to give a major shout out to our sponsor for this video, Dreams Casino. Dreams Casino is an online casino featuring the highest quality games and is super easy to use. There's a huge range of games that you can play, from Lucha Libre, Ghost Ship, Gods of Nature, Panda Magic, War, Vegas 3-card Rummy, and much more, including a lot of traditional card games, with over 150 to choose from. The site also offers a bunch of awesome bonuses like a free $25 chip when you sign up with them. You could also get a $2,000 bonus on your first deposit, with starting deposits being only $20 to play. Pretty good value if you manage to win. So if you want to put your online time to good use and want to get your game on, head on down to the link in the video description below to sign up at Dreams Casino. Also, must be over the age of 21. So with that in mind, let's jump in. Starting us off in at number 10, ANT-VENOM. It's the giant-sized ant-venom. This version of Scott Lang doesn't get a whole lot of page time in the Venomverse story arc, but is still quite entertaining all the same. So, for context, the Venomverse was a limited series that occurred in 2017, which starred Venom, and took notes from the successful Spider-Verse story event, written by Cullen Bunn and drawn by Eben Colello, who had previously worked together on Deadpool and the Mercs for Money. It followed the story of a war between the Klyntars and a new alien race that was introduced called the Poisons, who are their natural predators. Described as the biggest Venom story of all time, it started with Venom being transported to an alternate dimension to participate in this war, summoned by that Earth's venomized Dr. Strange. Strange had summoned many other versions of Venom and his hosts to this Earth, including our pal Scott Lang. Essentially, Scott was a venomized version of Ant-Man, who has all the same powers as the regular Scott Lang has, plus the added bonus of all the fun, horrifying things that the Venom symbiote is capable of. The character is prominently featured in the kidnapping of a poison version of Gwenpool in Venomverse issue 4, but unfortunately the character was eventually killed off in the Venomverse issue 5, and goes in a pretty tragic way. He was killed by his teammates as a means of preventing a poison from assimilating him, so I guess at least his teammates care about him? Up next, number 9, Venomized Gwenpool. Gwendolyn Poole from Earth TRN-646, much like many of the other characters on this list, is essentially Gwenpool of her own Earth, which is Earth TRN-565, but hosting the Venom symbiote. In case you're out of the loop about the very awesome Gwenpool, her home reality is one in which she understands that the Marvel Universe is fiction, yet manages to manifest herself within Earth 616's universe. The venomized version of her, though, first appeared in Edge of Venomverse issue 2 in September of 2017, and she decides to turn on her boss and lawyer, Mr. Melville, after she reveals to him Daredevil's true secret identity. Her Venom symbiote influences her to kill him, justifying the act as the only way to keep Daredevil's secret a secret from the public. So she does, and it kinda pays off because she does work with Daredevil to fight the Hand. But unfortunately for her, she was eventually killed off in the same issue as she appeared in, by a Poison, who was impersonating an alternate version of Daredevil, who then ate her whole. Rough way to go. Moving on to number 8, Rocket Raccoon. This venomized version of Rocket Raccoon made its debut in the Venomverse as well, and is one of writer Cullen Bunn's favorite venomized characters. In his home universe of Earth TRN-652, Rocket was a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy when he was bonded with Venom, but when the Poisons attempted to assimilate all of the Guardians, he was forced to kill his best pal Groot when he was turned. Since then, Rocket had become a bounty hunter during the duration of the war, taking on contracts like killing his world's Captain America, which is where the story begins for him when he's transported by Dr. Strange. He easily found himself being one of the Resistance's tech experts, which involved him creating bombs to use against the Poison threat, including the bomb that was eventually used to destroy the Hive's base. Up next at 7, Host Rider. Host Rider is, you guessed it, a venomized Ghost Rider. Hailing from Earth TRN-647 and first appearing in Edge of Venomverse issue 3 in 2017, this Ghost Rider is Roberto Reyes, the version of the character who was possessed by his uncle's demonic spirit. When the symbiote bonded with him, it affected the control that he had learned to maintain over his uncle's spirit, spirit, which caused an imbalance, and Roberto, his uncle, and the symbiote all fought over who had control over Roberto's body. Eventually, the spirit and the symbiote won over Reyes, calling themselves Host Rider in mockery of him. Host Rider has some pretty sweet abilities thanks to his Venom symbiote. The character can manifest a symbiotically augmented version of the Hell Charger directly from his body, which has a fanged mouth that operates as a grill, but can also devour Host Rider's victims. He also forms chains out of symbiote biomass, which is pretty neat. But like most on this list, he has an untimely end. The character dies in VENOMVERSE issue 3 during the Poison Klyntar War. Moving on to our number 6, Laura Kinney. Laura Kinney's Venomized self is absolutely terrifying. First appearing in Edge of VENOMVERSE issue 1 back in August of 2017, the character has an interesting story. From Earth TRN 645, the character's origin is similar to her Earth 616 counterparts. Raised as an assassin called X-23 in the facility that cloned her from Wolverine, she continuously attempted to escape imprisonment, and on her 5th try, she accidentally punctured a tank that contained a confined Venom symbiote. The symbiote bonded with her and boosted her powers, allowing her to finally break out of the facility for good. She fled to New York, made a derelict bank her home, which then caused locals to fear that the building was haunted. Eventually though, she encountered the Runaways, who were fleeing the gangster known as Zebra Daddy. Fun name. Rather than listening to Venom and eating the group of kids, she aided them, killing the gangster and his thugs, and sharing her home with the Runaways. Her symbiote has been known to further separate itself into other pieces to bond with others in order to protect them. In other words, the Runaways, who she has a fondness for. But the symbiote can always be recalled. Eventually though, agents from the facility had hunted her down, but before she could make a stand against them, she was summoned by the Venomized Doctor Strange. During the war, she would take up the alias of Wolverine, and managed to survive the battle and return back home to her reality. Also, another neat tidbit of information about her is that she would constantly be at odds with her Venom symbiote, not wanting to fight or kill unless she had to. And, well, that's kind of Venom's jam most of the time, isn't it? Up next, number 5, Venomized Logan. This Logan has the same origin of the one from Earth 807128. The one that killed the X-Men at the X-Mansion while under the control of Red Skull. This version though, years later, had been lured into a trap by Bruce Banner Jr., who he had raised as a son, but also lied to about his parentage. Along with Ashley Barton and Warren Worthington III, Banner Jr. tried to kill Logan, and use his remains to create an army of clones by utilizing the Venomized T-Rex that had survived an encounter with Black Bolt earlier. There's lots of details on this one that we're skimming over, so yeah, sorry, it's a big story. Anywho, the symbiote decided to jump ship from the dinosaur and bonded with Logan, who was then unable to kill Bruce Banner Jr. because he still saw him as a son, although the symbiote was like, do it! Logan would then be summoned by Doctor Strange and fought alongside our last number, although he was potentially killed in the explosion of the poisoned ship in Venomverse issue 5. Up next at number 4, President Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn of Earth 138, or rather Ozzy Osbourne, as is his nickname, is one sick motherfucker. Ozzy was the leader of a political regime in the US, and used his company Oscorp to develop something called Venom, the Variable Engagement Neurosensitive Organic Mesh. In other words, he used the Venom symbiote to make America great again, which is something that he literally says in the comic. His plan is to clean up the country with all of his goons using the Venom-modified symbiote to help perpetuate his fascist master plan. But luckily, the punk rock Spider-Man in this reality weakens them by using an electric guitar. While the character on his own may not be the most powerful fella on the block, although we assure you he can throw his weight around, what makes him so powerful is his legion of followers committed to his ideologies, which is pretty terrifying, to say the least. Up next, number 3, the Venomized Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange on his own in any Earth is pretty much a threat to be wary of, but in the Venomverse, he's the character who leads the resistance, and the one who summons the Venoms from all of the other alternate realities to fight against the poisons. So his story in the Venomverse starts when he stumbled upon a Venom symbiote, who was on the run from the poisons. Once they bonded, he became privy to the threat that the poisons pose to the multiverse, so Strange concocts a plan to build the resistance and take down the poison hive. He's eventually kidnapped by the poisons, and during the Resistance attempt to save him, they end up destroying the hive, and he dies, but not before he manages to teleport all of the Resistance members back to their own home realities. What a guy. And at 2, Venompool. Deadpool has been bonded to the Venom symbiote prior to the Venomverse event. Back in the day, he had actually tried on the symbiote before Spider-Man had, something that was added into Deadpool's lore long after the symbiote had first appeared and bonded with Spidey in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 252. Anywho, according to Venomverse editor Devin Lewis, I quote, "Deadpool is one of our main Venomized protagonists. He's got so much heart and he's always a source of unpredictability, insanity, and goofiness." Which, I mean, Sounds about right as far as Deadpool is concerned in like any reality. But he is right. Venompool is a massive part of the Venomverse arc, and because of his persistent insanity, he's one of the reasons why the Resistance is successful in overcoming the poisons. During the war, he noticed that when poisons took over Spider-Man, Spidey couldn't bring himself to kill the venomized Spinneret, whose alter ego was Mary Jane Watson. This gave him an idea. He surrendered himself to the poisons, believing that a host's original persona still had some agency while being under their control. And he was right. His insanity gave him extra resilience to the poisons. So even after he was assimilated, his mind still remained his own, and he was able to suppress the poison that tried to take him over. He would then aid the Resistance in infiltrating the poison's hive, but was left for dead before Rocket's bomb went off. Fighting alongside our next number, in at number 1, VENOMVERSE Carnage. If our part 1 of this list made anything clear, it's that the Klyntar symbiotes grow stronger the further down the lineage they go, meaning Venom's offspring will inevitably be innately stronger than he is. This is why the VENOMVERSE Carnage tops our list this time around. Now for starters, this Carnage comes from an Earth in which he had successfully killed Venom. When he was summoned to fight in the war against the Klyntars and the Poisons, he didn't get along well with the Resistance at first, and actually fought against them. Eventually though, he gave up on his volatile ways, realizing that this war gave him the opportunity to battle what he called a bunch of messed up superheroes, eventually fighting alongside them. Unfortunately for this Carnage, he was eventually used in a ploy against the Poisons by the poison-turned-Venompool that we just talked about, in order to infiltrate the Hive spaceship, where he was essentially left for dead, although it is unconfirmed whether or not he survived when the Hive was destroyed in Venomverse issue 5. It seems pretty likely though. Alright, there we have it friends. Out of all of the symbiote characters and alternate Venoms that we've mentioned, who would you like to see in a fight against one another? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know your thoughts. If you dug this video, spread the love and hit that like button. Want to hang out with us some more? Why not subscribe? And while you're at it, why not check out the nifty little playlist we currently have flashing on your screen for more Marvel and Venom videos. In the meantime though, thanks for watching everybody. I'll catch you all in the next video.